folks. I figured you'd probably enjoy seeing some slides rather than just a stale screenshot of unusual option activity, and or some of you were saying you were getting kind of jealous of the beach. So I decided to actually do it from up here at the house. I appreciate all of you tuning in. This is 3 at 3. We bring you unusual option activity, which we define as calls that were bought on the offer in big numbers, or puts that were bought on the offer likewise in big numbers. Both of them would indicate to us that somebody thought they had time critical information and they wanted to make an investment to profit from a movement in either direction: puts downside, calls upside. So let's get started with today's 3 at 3. 10-year Treasury, of course, has moved up 20 basis points this week alone. A little bit more than 20 basis points, in fact. So we were 155-ish. We've been as high as 176 today for the 10-year note. That's 1.76%. Is that the end of the world? Of course not. But it's the market playing catch up and getting ready for higher interest rates. Now, many of those higher interest rates would negatively impact the likes of, I suppose, Rocket Mortgage, because generally when rates pop, you see people pull back from their speed at which they will seek a mortgage or a refi. However, there are some areas, of course, financials in particular, the XLF, up better than 5% so far this week. So there's good and bad with what's going on with interest rates and the market. Let's take a look also at GameStop. I wish I could say that, boy, we just made a fortune off of this one. Somebody did. It wasn't me. The GameStop calls that you see on your screen, I basically rolled through the largest volumes of calls that expire today, January 7th. And these calls were traded yesterday. So as you note at the top of the screen there, the first line is the 150 calls. They closed out at about 19 cents, 18 or 19 cents. That was the right to buy it at 150. The stock did trade to 175. There it is in the after hours last night. You see that 1.6 and all those various prints at 175. And I will say that that was even more of a reach on the news that they might be starting an NFT division at GameStop. 175, yeah, you probably couldn't have gotten out too much up at 175, but you certainly could have made a very nice profit. Those 2,500 calls that were bought for, call it 20 cents, that went to, I don't know, 20 bucks at 170 or 10 bucks at 160. Either of those are a huge windfall. And then look at those 135s from 160 to basically $40 higher at 175, or at 160, $25 higher. You get the idea. People made a lot of money betting on this one yesterday. And it certainly seems like somebody may have tipped the hand that NFTs were going to be announced over at our friends at GameStop. But that's for regulators to determine. We just follow the paper. So we're not the ones creating that unusual option activity. We are following that unusual option activity. Here's the first of today's unusual option activity. We're going to kick it off with none other than SPY. The S&P 500, notice they purchased a spread that expires not in 2 weeks, but in 3 weeks. 2 weeks is regular January expiration. This is the 7th, of course. Next week will be the 14th. Third week will be, of course, the 21st. Well, look, they're buying January 26th expiration calls, puts. And they're buying those at the 460 strike beneath the market, and they're selling the 445 puts against it. So if you pay $4.50 and you collect $2, you've basically put out $2.50 for a spread that could go to the differential between those two, $50. So from $15, I'm sorry. So it could go from the $2.50 that this particular trader paid for it to as much as $15. A full 7x, that's a nice trade. If it works out, we'll have to see if it does, but this was a pretty big trade, and that's the first of today's 3 at 3. Second is PPC. This is Pilgrim's Pride. I know a lot of you know what that is. That's, of course, big poultry producer. Also happens to be involved in meat production. Stock's $28.30. They're buying nearly 12,000 of the March 29 calls. So important things to note. Number one, they're buying basically an at the money, just $1 higher than where the stock was trading. Two, they bought 12,000, which is 1.2 million share equivalent. So that's a big purchase. We like following those big trades. March 29 calls, 3 months into the future. They have a lot of time to be right. I bought at the monies and will sell upside calls if Pilgrim's Pride continues to rally. Bang. That's the second of today's 3 at 3. The third and final of today's 3 at 3 is Freeport, FCX. Anything that you can pull out of the ground, chances are these guys have some sort, except for oil, these guys have a pretty significant position in there. And Freeport, FCX, had a nice year last year. Some people are looking for another nice year this year. In particular, a nice week from now till next Friday. Because note, they're buying the 14th of January 42 calls. The at the money call, because the stock's trading 41.71. So they're buying at the money. It's going to move about 50 cents for every dollar the underlying stock moves, because that's what all at the money options move, about half as much as the stock. As they go deeper in the money and as we get closer to expiration, they move more and more like stock. But they bought 2,400 of these. That's 240,000 share equivalent. We followed in on this one. I was already long Freeport. I'm already long Cliffs. I'm already long Vale. Many of these sort of material plays, as well as energy, are some of my favorites in the early part of 2022. If you would like to join Market Rebellion, by all means, we'd encourage you to do just that. You can go and check out all of our offerings by going to marketrebellion.com/get started. That's marketrebellion.com/get started. There you can see how we can teach you basics for trading options, stock, or cryptos. You can also see intermediate and advanced classes. You can participate in live online webinars that are only available to our subscribers. So go check it out when you have a chance. marketrebellion.com/get started. And if you have any questions, we always welcome those. Please direct them to me on Twitter at Jon, Jon. My dad was John. So please direct them to at JonNajarian. We'll try to get your questions answered right here on the show. We know many of you like to do that, and I get bombarded with those. But since I've been enjoying the time down here, I haven't really hit a lot of those questions. I'll start getting back into that next week. Thank you for joining me, folks. Hope you have a great day. I hope it's sunny and beautiful wherever you are. And I'll leave you with, by the way, a parting shot of the sunshine and the palms.